Good morning, my brothers and sisters. Welcome to episode number 119. What if you were the designated object of real love? So, we've been talking about abiding in the vine from John chapter 15, and that's involved kind of four things so far. One is attaching to the vine, get the belief in receiving Him right the first time, and then abiding. So, what's abiding? That's the continual, observable efforts of an ongoing relationship with God. It's not for sissies. Don't be surprised that it requires effort to relationship build, just like a marriage or whatever. Attention. So that's the Lord's attention, and that's delivered by pruning, which is cleansing and purifying. And so pruning, the attention of God, is the normal part of Christianity. And in a sense, we should be desiring it because we should be desiring the pruning hand of the watchful vine dresser. And pruning is this love language of God that I want to be pruned. And then the Lord is eventually pleased with the person who desires to be pruned. And then yesterday we talked about praying, which is conditioned on the genuineness of this relationship with God. So those four things, attaching, abiding, attention, and asking, ends up with, wait for it, fruit. That's on the other side of the equation. So fruitfulness is this ultimate test of a discipleship, that it's an ultimate test of discipleship. All right, so today, these four things, we're going to add a fifth thing, which is the affection of the Lord, the love of God. Listen for this. This is in John chapter 15 and verse 8. By this my Father is glorified, that you bear much fruit and so prove to be my disciples. As the Father has loved me, so I have loved you. Abide in my love. Abide in my love. If you keep my commandments, you will abide in my love, just as I have kept my Father's commandments and abide in his love. These things I have spoken to you, that my joy may be in you and that your joy may be full. So, we've talked about attaching and abiding and attention of the Lord and pruning and asking it. Now, abide in my love. So not just any affection. We're talking about heavenly, perfect, Trinitarian love. So the Lord has a great affection for himself, as he should. So to not be admiring himself, not the Father, not admiring the Son, would be not the truth. It would be blasphemy in a sense. So the Father is loving the Son in a complete and wholesome, admiring, and accurate relationship. Now he tells us, as the Father has loved me, that Trinitarian love, so I have loved you. And in a similar way, in a family way, I'm going to love you. It's this next generation profound love. It's even though he knows our frame, he knows our sin, he still loves us. And we can't fully explain it, almost like a mother with this inordinate love for a newborn child, or a grandfather trying to explain his love for his grandchild. So abiding is this continually living at this one location, remaining there, taking residence. And today he says, abide where? In my love. Abide in my love, in this unexplainable family love. So here's what I want to distinguish today. What's the difference between God's love for himself and God's love for us? Now, his love for himself is awesome and appropriate and just and true and affectionate. There's never been a single moment when in Trinitarian love, when love between one of the other persons of God wasn't 100% deserves. The persons of God merit the full affection of all creatures, all time, and they have been appropriately admiring themselves for an eternity past, before he even created our world. So we shouldn't be surprised when we hear that the Father loves the Son, and the Son loves the Father, and the Spirit loves Jesus. We're like interrupting the process that's been going on for a very, very long time. And we, as we get clued into that, will be appreciating that fact and appropriately worshiping the Father, Son, and Spirit for a long time. We catch a glimpse of us in heaven 10,000 years from now, we're probably going to be saying what the creatures are saying there today. Holy, holy, holy. Thousands of years. So God's love for himself is not a surprise. He's supposed to be loving himself. And not to love himself would be inaccurate, untruthful. Of course, God loves himself. Another word for this is glorify. The Son glorifies the Father. The Father glorifies the Son. Okay, let's talk now about God's love for us. Now, is that a surprise? And for me, at least this morning, the answer was yes, it is a surprise. Why does God bother? He doesn't tell us why he bothers, but he does tell us how he does bother to do it. So, what trouble he goes through to love us. So, in a way, his love for us is assigned, that is, decided upon. So it's as if the Lord is saying, hey, you, dear human, dear podcast listener, you mean the world to me. And even when you have done the unlovely, even when you have not been perfect, even when you have sinned, I have decided to love you. Romans 5:8, while you were yet sinners, Christ died for you. He didn't wait till us to stop sinning. He died for us while we were sinners. So Christ, the Father, the Spirit, loves us when we were unlovely. So God loves himself, of course. It's just, it's deserved. And God loves us when it is him loving the unlovely, the undeserved, the sinful. So our God is right enough to love himself. That's kind of the easy answer. And he's also big enough and kind enough and merciful enough to love the unlovely, which is us. So what's the response here today? In my mind, I came up with one, which is just one of reassurance. So our love from God is predicated not so much on my behavior, he knows my frame, but on his character, his faithfulness, his steadfast love towards me. For me, it is undeserved, but it's not unappreciated. So when I find myself today as the designated object of real love, that's what I'm concluding here today. I am telling the Lord, I appreciate it. Thank you. And thanks for listening. Come back tomorrow.